Hello, and welcome to my first ever review of my first ever Borderlands game. I'm the Starwalker. I don't usually play shooters. My comfort zone usually involves epic, story-driven, high fantasy with a lot of magic RPGs like Baldur's Gate 3 and Final Fantasy. So, what happens when a player like me dives headfirst into the futuristic chaos of Borderlands 4? I've always been skeptical of games where it feels like you're just killing and respawning endlessly, and rightfully so. I'm a story guy, but I kept hearing that Borderlands 4 was different, that there's a method to the madness. So I decided to find out. Can this legendary looter shooter win over a hardcore RPG fan? We're going to cover it all with no major story spoilers, and stick around to the very end where I'll give you my final verdict. Is Borderlands 4 a must-buy for a newcomer like me? A wait for a sale type of game? Or a hard pass for anyone not already in the fan club? Let's get into it. Let's start with what matters the most, the gameplay. This is where I fully expected the game to lose me, but I was immediately surprised. While there is plenty of killing to be had, every firefight, every explosion pushes the story forward, which is a design philosophy I can absolutely get behind. That's not to say the game is easy. As a complete newcomer, my fingers were put to the test. It was tough. There were moments where there were so many enemies on screen I could barely keep up, but it was a blast trying to. It was a massive challenge, and one particular section absolutely wiped the floor with me for nearly an hour. But when I finally broke through, optimized my gear, and overcame that wall, that sense of progression, of mastering a new skill, that's a feeling any RPG fan can appreciate. Next up, the loot loop. While one of the most exciting things about the game are the random loot drops, it's also about the systems that let you use that loop in interesting ways. In Borderlands 4, it's all about building a complete loadout for your chosen Vault Hunter. You can equip up to 4 guns at a time, which opens up a ton of strategic variety. You might carry a corrosive SMG to melt armor, a shock sniper for taking out shields, a high-impact shotgun for close encounters, and maybe a pistol that shoots exploding saw blades just because you can. On top of the guns, you're constantly finding new shields that can do everything from absorb elemental damage to release a damaging Nova Blast when they break. You've got grenade mods, class mods, and powerful artifacts that all synergize together. Finding that perfect piece of gear that redefines your entire build is what I think makes the Borderlands loop so incredibly addictive. Now, let's talk about the story. Historically, I'm told the plot of these games has been a flimsy excuse to get from one firefight to the next. But this time, it feels like they're aiming higher. The new main antagonists have their moments, and I was totally into the side characters and the world building. There are some genuinely hilarious side quests, a few surprisingly emotional moments that I absolutely did not see coming. And that's not even counting the chaos of the game hilariously dropping enemies on you from cargo ships. Oh, and the NPCs you encounter along the way are just as wild and fantastically written. I also noticed the signature Borderlands humor in full force. Some jokes absolutely land, others fall completely flat. It's very much a love it or hate it affair. But a huge part of making that humor and the entire world work so well is just how visually stunning this game can be. The iconic ink black outlines and shell shaded art style have been cranked up to 11. The shell shaded art style is a 3D rendering technique that gives graphics distinct cartoon-like appearances by using flat colors with bold outlines, creating a sort of hand-drawn look. In Borderlands 4, this iconic visual approach is featured prominently, helping create the game's unique and vibrant aesthetic. On the audio side, the sound design is pure chaotic bliss. Every gunshot, explosion, and elemental effect crackles with energy. The soundtrack is a perfect mix of gritty rock and electronic beats that drive the action forward. The game looks and sounds fantastic when it's working properly, which brings us to the technical side of things. I played entirely on the PS5, and for a launch title, the performance is pretty good. In performance mode, the game maintains a nearly locked 60 frames per second, and the image holds up well thanks to the solid dynamic resolution scaler. While quality mode offers a 4K image with more graphical flourishes, frame rate dips are noticeable in heavy combat. The HDR implementation is a standout, with brilliant particle effects and deep inky blacks, though I do wish it had more calibration options. The game also feels good in the hand. The DualSense integration of haptic feedback is nuanced. You can feel the kick of weapons, and the adaptive triggers add a satisfying resistance when you're reloading and recharging your weapons, which all lends to an immersive experience. I did encounter a few minor bugs, an enemy getting stuck in a wall, a quest marker not appearing, memory leaks, but nothing game-breaking in my 30 or so hours of gameplay. So, the gameplay is tight, the story is better than expected, and the performance is solid. So that brings us back to the big question. Is Borderlands 4 worth your money? Coming from someone who doesn't have many roots in this genre, my answer is a surprising and resounding yes. This game managed to hook me in a way that I did not see coming. It's not just a shooter, it's an action RPG disguised in the absolute wildest, most chaotic skin imaginable. But as this is a data-driven review, let's break down the final numbers. So here's the final scorecard for Borderlands 4. For gameplay, the addictive loop and solid mechanics earn it a 9. The story and humor, while better than I expected, is still hit or miss, which gets a 7.5. Visuals and art style are stunning and iconic, a solid 9.5. Sound and music are perfectly executed for the genre, earning it a 9. And finally, the technical performance on PS5 is decent for a launch title, giving it an 8. This brings the overall score to a very strong 8.6 out of 10. If you're a hardcore RPG fan like me who values story and character progression over everything else, don't write this one off. Borderlands 4 might just be the gateway game that opens up an entire new genre for you. It certainly was for me. It was a blast to play, surprisingly deep, and it proves that sometimes the greatest adventures are found when you take a step outside your comfort zone. But that's just my take. What do you think of Borderlands 4? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, that's it for this one. The future is out there, so stay bright, hit that like button, and walk with the stars.